I have 3 kids. My middle one her name is Hannah. She's 18 years old. She comes to me and says, "Dad, you stop learning." Well, okay, so I gotta go back and explain what happened. So I wrote this book, Soul in the Game, The Art of Meaningful Life. And in the middle of this book, there's 1/3 of this book is basically occupied about chapters on Stoic philosophy. So I had this idea. So what happened was, I was preparing for a podcast I was going to do, and the podcast was going to focus on Stoic philosophy. This book came out 2 years ago, but what makes it even more interesting, I finished writing like 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago. So I was literally walking in the park and listening to audiobook version of this book on Stoics. And I was so far removed from writing this book, so 3.5 years passed, that I was listening to Stoic chapters and I was like, wow, this is very good. And and I know it sounds very immodest coming from the author, but the reaction was genuine because when I was listening to the book, it was the reader in me listening to the book. So I had this idea, what if I take the chapters from the book, from the Stoic chapters of the book, and turn them into kind of the little book of Stoicism. I would add some more, polish it some more, and kind of turn it into kind of little book about Stoics. And so I was talking to Hannah about this, and this was her reaction to this. And her reaction, so when she told me this, I was stunned, and I didn't even say anything because I didn't know what to say. So I went for a walk in the park, and I was thinking about this. And when I came back home, I told Hannah, "I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of you because you have this growth mindset, this kind of a student of life mindset, that your thinking is that I just keep going back to what I'm comfortable with. And by doing this, I'm basically would not be learning." And I think there is some truth to that, but the fact that you had these thoughts when you were 18 years old, I think my mom and me have done something, we did okay with you. So I was very proud of that. So another thing I realized, it takes a special relationship with your kids for your kids to be comfortable to come to you and tell you that. And I realized that this is the same relationship I had with my father, where my father was fine being vulnerable about mistakes he made. And that vulnerability made it comfortable for me to tell him things that, not necessarily critical, but kind of honest opinion about what he was doing. And I would argue that it's very important to have this kind of relationship with your kids. Another insight I had from this is that it's also okay to increase the density of your knowledge. So in other words, you always want to grow and you want to kind of look for try to conquer new frontiers. It's okay to go back and to relearn old things. And this is important because when I read about Stoic philosophers 3-4 years ago, it was a different version of me reading those texts. When I read them today, I'm 4 years older, I have 4 years of new experiences. And therefore, my understanding of those concepts may be different, and I might get some new insights. So I think there is absolutely nothing wrong to do both, to go forward and sometimes go back and to revisit things. The final point, at the end of the conversation with Hannah, I showed her like about 30,000 words of new essays that I've written over the last year that I haven't published yet. So Hannah is a little bit, after I showed this to Hannah, she's like, "Okay, Dad, it's okay for you to publish the new book about Stoics." And I don't know if if this book is if I ever publish the new book about Stoics or not. Anyway, and finally, if you want to learn about Stoics, I don't know if I'm ever going to write that book or not, but there's about 25,000 words, about 1/3 of this book, that talks about Stoics, if you decide to study them. Hey, thank you for watching this video. If you want to learn more about life, classical music, philosophy, and investing, make sure to subscribe to my articles and visit investor.fm. Thank you.